Johannesburg, the financial hub of Africa and considered by many to be the heartbeat of the continent. It's a place that over 3 million people call home, and one of those people is Sunshine Tour professional Madalitso Muthiya. We caught up with him here at the Country Club Johannesburg. Madalitso, welcome to Quiz Sports. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's take you back all the way to the beginning. That win at the Wild Coast last year, the crowning moment of your golfing career so far, would you say?
I would say on the Sunshine Tour, yes. A good step forward, actually, making strides on the tour.
You had to do it the hard way. I mean, John Hugo was chasing you in that final round, but you made those big putts on 13 and 16. What are the emotions like when you actually got there in the end?
I wasn't even aware of what was going on with John Hugo. I played with Oki Stridham. He actually finished a shot behind me. I wasn't even aware that it was only a shot behind. And obviously, there were tough conditions. It was quite windy. But you always expect that when you're playing a golf tournament, you're trying to win a golf tournament, there are always going to be guys who are going to throw good scores at you there. But I wasn't aware of it. I was just trying to play my best. Obviously, the best was good enough and I won.
So no pressure then, you're just doing your thing?
I was just doing my thing. Obviously, just know how to contain the pressure when you're playing on that stage. You have to be within your element and make it happen.
You shot an opening round 63, but then even par in the second round. Did you think you'd blown it after that?
No, not at all. I was still, I think, in third place. I was only 2 shots behind, so I knew I was still in contention. That was the main goal, to be in contention, so I could have a chance to win the golf tournament. And I actually played well on that day. I just didn't convert enough putts and ended up shooting even par. So there was no damage made.
But you were able to bring it back and won it in the end?
Yes, apparently I shot 4 under without a bogey, and then it was the lowest round of the tournament, actually on that final day, where the wind was gusting 60 kilometers per hour, so I managed to do it well.
Now, if you were to describe your game, would you say it's power or finesse or strength or style? How would you say your game is at this point?
I think it's a combination of everything. I think I plot my way throughout the golf course well. And then if I have to hit a longer shot, I'm not the longest, but I'm way above average as well. So there's finesse, there's everything.
What would you say the best part of your game is then?
Driving. I mean, I've always been a good ball striker from the time I was younger. I'm a good putter as well. The weakest part was my chipping, and now I'm working on it, trying to improve it and get it up there, because I was always a good chipper until I made the transition to come to South Africa. That's why I struggled, I think, with the Kikuyu grass here.
Let's talk about that transition. I mean, you're now in Johannesburg. Why did you make the move down here?
I lost my Web.com tour card. I was on Web.com for 2.5 years there. So when I lost it, I decided to come down here to create more playing privileges or opportunities to get to the European Tour or back to the Web.com. And Sunshine Tour was the tour that offered that option.
So is that the plan, eventually, to get back to the European Tour or the PGA?
Yes, definitely. I want to play on a higher stage. I believe I'm good enough to play on that stage. So I'm working towards that. And obviously winning a golf tournament gave me a year exemption, but I would like to do a little bit more and win more the bigger tournaments. I've got more credentials in terms of 2-year exemptions and 5.
You've obviously already played in the biggest stage of all. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, it was a neat experience. I mean, I won the local qualifying. I shot 9 under, which was a course record. It still stands today. And then I went to Ohio. It was after the Memorial. I won that one as well. I finished at 10 under and 36 holes, won by 4. Got me into the event, and there was a lot of, obviously, attention based on that. And just to see what golf is like on that magnitude was actually quite eye-opening.
How did you handle that pressure? I mean, being at such a young age in such a big tournament, how did you handle it?
You know, I've always conditioned my mind to, or you envision yourself to be at that stage, and it got there, obviously playing a major quicker than I thought. I would have liked to actually get the tour card first and then do that, but again, it's a blessing in disguise that I was able to see what is required of me at that stage before I got there.
And what would you say would you say there was a lot of interest back home when you were playing in the tournament?
Yes, I believe so. Sports Illustrated actually sent a photographer to Zambia to be with my family and take pictures and interview them. I hear the atmosphere was actually quite vibrant in terms of there was a keen interest with me being the first Zambian to play in the US Open and me qualifying for that.
Getting into Zambia, obviously it's where you come from. born in Kitwe but grew up in Lusaka. So it's obviously a place very close to you. And golf's not the biggest sport really in the country, but you seem to have emerged from there and doing very well for yourself. So how did you get into golf?
I got into golf through my late father. He played golf, and then obviously got myself and my older brother involved in the game of golf. From then on, he was the facilitator, obviously, of me getting to that stage. I was showing a lot of promise in terms of golf and a keen interest in trying to do well. So he was a disciplinarian, and he made sure that obviously once I decided what I wanted to do, which was try to play professional golf, but work in tandem with getting a good education, so which I was able to do when I got to university. Whenever my father would leave for work or the golf course, he would leave his set of clubs in the closet. So being young, you obviously teeter around your father's or your parents' bedroom. So I happened to stumble across golf clubs. So my older brother and I got the clubs and started hitting balls around, mimicking what we've seen before. And I happened to actually break the window. And I remember my brother taking off because he was scared, because he knew that my father would obviously punish us for that. But when my father came home, my mother told him what had happened, that we broke the window. And he wasn't upset about that. He said, "Do you want to play golf?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, we're going to start playing golf." So the first thing he taught us was the rules of the game and how to score, and then took us to the golf course and hit balls on the range before we could get on the golf course.
So coming out of the backyard, away from the broken windows, where did you actually play golf in Lusaka?
I played golf at Lusaka Golf Club. My father was tournament secretary there, and then he moved on to become the captain of the golf club. So I had obviously the privilege of playing out there and growing up and seeing the administrative side and also just the golfing side of things.
Now President Chiluba, you caught his attention. How did that come about?
He's commissioner, I think, of the security, played golf. So, and I was appearing in the newspapers on a constant basis because I was winning tournaments internationally and locally. So he took notice of that and mentioned it to the president. And the president invited me to the State House on 3 occasions to meet him and asked me what he could do for me, having put Zambia on the map, and he was proud of my performance and everything else. So at that stage, I was actually looking at going to university after 2 years of graduating from high school, and then playing obviously collegiate golf, and with the hope of or the intent of playing professional golf. So from then on, he facilitated for me to play a junior tournament in Fort Myers, Florida. I ended up winning the tournament by 6 shots, and that's where all the college coaches were recruiting players for, I think, for all the universities. So I was offered scholarships from Stanford, University of Florida, Washington, University of Washington, Virginia Tech, and then University of New Mexico, and several others. So I ended up choosing University of New Mexico based on the golf program they had, and also the economics department I was interested in.
University of New Mexico, was it because of the golf program? Who were the head coaches there, and what particularly attracted you to the
He was actually the head coach. He became the head coach. He was assistant coach when he was recruiting me, Glenn Milliken. So he happened to be very actually friendly, and my father liked him as well. He was very hands-on, and he obviously looked at the interest I had in playing professional golf, and he thought that was the best based on the weather throughout the year, because the US can have adverse weather in certain areas. And then the economics department, like I said, I ended up majoring in economics and business management. So I was fortunate that they had those two. And when I played, our university golf team was actually 3rd in the country. So we had a very good golf program.
Economics and business management though, well, how did that come to pass? Why are you interested in that?
I was just had an inclination towards business. My father was, he owned his own insurance company, so he was an entrepreneur basically by heart. And I think just based on that, I sort of took a liking towards business, and I always wanted to sort of indulge in that. But we use economics in day-to-day life, you know, in choosing what would be the best benefit in terms of the cost and moving forward from there.
So was it frat parties and sorority girls, or was it books?
I used to hear about them. I never really indulged in it. I was actually traveling a lot. Because you get to travel every 2 weeks, and then you've got schoolwork to catch up. I mean, we had 15 credit hours, which was about 5 classes. So to do that, and then also to be able to compete and be able to have a chance to travel to compete with other universities was a tough task.
During your varsity time, I'm sorry to have to bring this up, but your father's passing. Both you and your brother were on opposite sides of the world. Must have been a very difficult time.
It was a very difficult time. I remember my older brother, we actually spoke to him on the phone probably 2 days. There was a time where I think you can still do it now. It's just that with all the technological advancement, you forget that. But you could link in the 3 calls. So my brother called me whilst I was in the US, and then called my late father, and then we were talking. He wasn't feeling well, so I wasn't sure. I'd asked him, I said, should I come home? Because I was close to actually the end of the semester. And he said, no, after your semester you can come home, and then, yeah, and go from there. So 2 days later, my brother called me and he said, don't panic. So I said, what do you mean? He said, just don't panic. And he said, Dad died. Funny thing is, I had this weird out-of-body experience. I was actually working out that day. It was about 11 p.m. in Zambia. So I had a sharp pain in my stomach, like somebody just stabbed me. And I'd never felt that before. So when my brother told me, I said, what time was it? He said it was actually at 11 p.m. when he passed on. So I said, so I explained to him what had happened, and he couldn't believe it. So it was obviously a very big blow, because again, it's somebody who mentored me, apart from being a father, and also believed in me and my goals and my dreams. So it sort of took a different direction in terms of trying to find my orientation, but eventually gradually getting there.
So losing the man who brought you into the game, introduced you to the game, was such a mentor for you, like you say. Was there ever a time where you considered packing it in, going back home to your mom and sister and helping them through it?
Several times. Obviously, I was fortunate I met some people who could encourage me and support me throughout, and my brother was very instrumental. To this day, he's a big supporter of me. Whenever I play Joburg Open or SA Open, he comes out to support. But it was very, very, very tough thinking about that. And my mother is a very strong-willed person, so she would encourage us to finish our education and go towards our dreams and aspirations.
I think it was a case of you doing what he would have wanted you to do in that situation.
Yes, especially in that situation. The funny thing about the whole profession is I chose to want to play professional golf. And he decided that he was just going to facilitate and make sure that I was disciplined and I worked hard and did the necessary things to achieve that goal. So it was very easy for me from that aspect of pursuing a professional career, because it came from my own interest. But going at it alone was the tough aspect of it.
You make it through college, you get your degree, you head on to the Canadian tour after you turned pro, but you had to hit 4 consecutive birdies to do it.
Yes, at Q School actually. It was actually in California. I just bogeyed a couple of holes, and there was a friend of mine who was caddying for me, and I mentioned to him that I needed 4 birdies to actually get my card. I think that would be enough, and I happened to do it. So it was actually, and I happened to make the card right, I think right on the number by 1 shot. And so that was actually an interesting fit, and I was happy I was able to do that, which gave me playing privileges on the Canadian Tour.
And you headed over to the web.com tour, a natural progression heading towards the PGA Tour. What was that experience like?
The Canadian Tour was similar to web.com in the way you traveled and some of the competition. It was obviously top heavy, probably the top 20 could win tournaments. But it was a great experience in preparation for the web. When I got through PGA Tour qualifying and got the web.com card, it was conditional status. So it wasn't the best of status. You had to wait till your number got in. But the experience was second to none. It taught me how to travel, how to handle my own affairs, how to work hard to get to the next stage, and also compare myself with the best in the world.
One of the best in the world, Zach Johnson, you became quite close to him during that time.
Yeah, I met him actually through DJ Brigman, who's an alumni for the university I played for, and they're great friends. So I was supposed to play the practice run with him in the Buick Open when I qualified for that. But didn't get a chance to because we just missed each other. So I happened to play with somebody else who he knew, and we met and spoke, and he said, so I said, sorry, I couldn't obviously make it to play the practice run. He said, no, don't worry, there'll be a next time. And believe it, there's always a next time. So that's what I remember vividly, and a class act, a great guy, very humble.
Obviously you got quite close to someone like that. Did you learn quite a bit from him?
Yes, I learned a lot from a lot of people. I mean, you learn from I'm a fan first of the game of golf, so I learned from watching golf. To this day, I still do whenever I get the time. It comes on so late, so it's tough to stay up and watch the game, the tournaments. But yeah, I learned a lot from several guys. I played with Vijay Singh and I saw that he was #1 at the time. And what I learned there was the confidence level, but it comes from hard work. With his short game and his belief factor in believing that he could do anything that he wanted.
Your time on the web.com tour unfortunately came to an end due to financial problems. That must have been a tough pill to swallow.
Yes, I was at a stage where I could actually get to the next stage, which is the PGA Tour, but I didn't really have that kind of financial backing to obviously keep on going. So that puts a strain on your mind. And again, I've always compared it to you running a bootstrap business when you're trying to expand to get to the next stage, to a bigger medium or a large-scale operation, and you don't have the funds. So that's kind of where I was, and unfortunately my golf game suffered a little bit where I missed a few cuts by 1 or 2 and ended up losing my card. But obviously I had to pick up the pieces when I got here because again, my dream still resonates within me. So I had to make it happen by sort of digressing, going back to go forward.
It's a pity though, because I mean, you finished 9th at the Mexico Open and 7th at the Milan Classic. So I mean, you got quite big prize money there. So you seemed like you were on your way towards achieving success, getting into the PGA Tour, like you said. So how come? Really, was it just it was too much to travel, or what are the constraints that you were working under?
No, I mean, even those top 10s. I mean, if you look at the expenses for the year on the web.com, you're going to spend about $60,000 to $90,000 for the whole year. That includes your caddy. You're paying your caddy no less than $1,000 for the week. That's just the minimal pay, and then whatever percentage that you're making. Then you got flights. You've got your other off golf course expenses. So that combination is actually quite expensive.
You end up on the Sunshine Tour. You're back here in South Africa, getting your game back together again. You've shown quite a considerable improvement over the number of years you've been on the tour. And tell us about what's the plan going forward now.
When I joined here, obviously I wanted to, I was pre-qualifying. When you're a first member, you have to pre-qualify to get into the tournaments. So I did that. I think I had 16 pre-qualifiers and I missed only 1 pre-qualifier, and I made all the cuts. And that's what got me to be ranked, I think, 77th. From there on, I had more playing privileges, and I played consistently the following year as well, finished 41st on the Order of Merit. And then last season, I ended up finishing, I think, 30th. That's including the guys who are on the European Tour, not members. So I think I should be about 24 on the Order of Merit and ended up having a win. So there's been a steady progress, but all I was looking on and working towards was actually attaining consistency. Because I know if I'm consistent over a long period of time, I can compete on any tour, and that can get me to where I want to get to. And obviously make enough money where you're financially stable and can make that leap forward to the European Tour or back to the US, just based on the foreign currency exchange now. So you need to make a substantial amount in South Africa.
The Sunshine Tour itself, do you think it's a good place for African golfers to develop, and can it get you where you want to go?
It is. You play well. I mean, there are many guys who've obviously shown that, who've won tournaments, from Hayden Porteous to Dean Burmester, and there's several other names, obviously, that I can think of off the top of my head. They've done that, and obviously there's that opportunity to do that. And then if you play well enough, if you don't get to win a tournament, you can get to final stage of the European Tour and the web.com, just like Jack Blau did. He's now on web.com through the Sunshine Tour. I think he finished 3rd on the Order of Merit of 5th, so that got me exempt into the final stage. So there are those perks that are there, and it's competitive enough. I mean, you look at the quality of golf courses that South Africa has, to me it's second to none. The only place that you can compare it to is the US. And golf as an industry is also growing here, so the amount of exposure that people are having to actually develop their golf game is immense, and that's what's leading to actually the great golf, and also the Sunshine Tour probably improving its standards.
Is that the reason why you've based yourself in Johannesburg, because of the quality of the golf courses?
Yes, it's a place I could simulate myself to what I had in the US.
You mentioned Vijay Singh a little while ago. He's one of the past winners of the Zimbabwe Open. Coming up in 2 weeks' time, you looking forward to that?
Yes, I think there's a rich history there with the Zimbabwe Open. You've got Nick Price, you've got Mark McNulty, you've got Vijay Singh, and obviously to be able to have that chance and to play well enough to have a chance to win there will be amazing.
And then how have the preparations been ahead of that tournament?
I was fortunate enough, I got a 2-week break, which I've never done. I think I was a little burnt out. I'd played so much golf. I'd played almost every pro-am. So I feel more rejuvenated now. I'm practicing and I'm looking forward to starting the season. and yeah, work my way up again.
And then the Zambia Open in 3 weeks' time, and that must be a tournament quite close to your heart.
Yes.
You're looking forward to that one as well, obviously.
Yes, from the time I was a junior golfer, I'd always fancied to play in the Zambian Open, and also thought I could actually win the Zambian Open one day. I came close by finishing second, and then I've had a few top tens here and there, but now I feel more sort of ready to try to attain that goal that I've had, and it would be obviously great for Zambian golf if I could do that, and obviously Zambian winning a Zambian Open can also help with the growth of golf in Zambia and also the attention that it duly deserves.
It's taking place at your home club in Lusaka. The home support will be out behind you. Does that make a difference when you're out on the greens?
It does. It can be a distraction at times as well, because people are always yelling things for you to do and this and that. So there's that part of the distraction, but there's also that positive side where people are rooting for you to actually do well. So just the familiarity of the golf course, and then having some familiar faces there, and my family tends to come out, my brother and my mother, and so that would be nice if I could get it done.
Your knowledge of the golf course obviously also play a big role. I mean, the only thing that could really change for you is the pin placements.
Correct, it does help. It's a tight golf course, so you got to know where to miss it. I think I have an advantage in the sense that I know where to miss the shots. I've played there several times, so even without practicing, I think that can help me out. But I think the trick is actually converting putts. I get used to putting on bent grass greens here or Bermuda, and then go back there and then try to adjust to the grainy grass that's there. Sometimes can be cumbersome, but I think if I give myself enough time, I'll do well.
So getting back to the US seems like it's your main goal. You've played there, you've played here. What are the main differences between the two regions in terms of the golf?
Firstly, golf as a whole is respected. Actually, the profession is respected immensely by people from all walks of life, because they understand how difficult it is, and then it's a bigger industry in the US than it is here. But South Africa is slowly getting there with the amount of exposure that obviously it's getting from versus sports. It's definitely growing. And then just the availability of instruction, availability of marketing that they have, marketing tools to grow the game of golf in America is a little different from South Africa. But again, South Africa is the closest I can think of to the US.
Your role personally in growing the game of golf on the continent, do you take it on as something that's, means a lot to you?
Before, I never thought of that until people started actually bringing it to my attention. I always just wanted to play golf. I wanted to play with the best in the world and also win golf tournaments. But it also comes with that kind of responsibility. I would say being a minority in the sport, I think kind of accords you that attention. And I think sometimes everything comes with responsibility, whatever you do, or whether it's your place of work and you add value to yourself. I think some people are going to take notice of that, and they'll expect you to obviously carry yourself in a certain way and also bear a certain burden.
Fairly recently, we've had reports of Uganda's top manager, a guy called Ronald Otile. Yes. He's listed you as one of his role models, so that must feel quite good.
Yes, it was humbling actually. I got a chance to meet him and play with him. He's got obviously a great desire for the game of golf, and he's out here now in South Africa attending school and instruction. Yeah, it's humbling when you meet certain people like that. And I remember when I played in the US Open, I got a letter from the USGA. It came all the way from India. And there was a guy watching me, and him and his dad were inspired by my story. They said he wants to play professional golf one day, and he was trying to find out how it can be done. So I was very, very shocked and humbled that somebody from across the world, all the way from India, could actually be inspired by you playing. So that's a kind of impact that sometimes we don't take notice of, and I think I'm made responsible for.
You're flying the flag high for Africa and for Zambia as well. Are there any golfers back home that you've got your eye on as well who could perhaps join you in this whole endeavor?
Yes, there are a lot of younger guys who are actually showing a lot of talent. You've got Dane Moore, he plays on the Sunshine Tour. He actually got his tour card again through qualifying school here. And then you've got about 4 other amateur golfers there that I think have got outstanding ability. All they need is a support structure and also exposure to actually enhance their golfing skills and be able to perform on this level.
Is that the key? Is it the support structure and the financial backing? Because it seems like there's talent there.
Absolutely.
In the minorities.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest aspect of anything. You need to have the right people around you. You need to have the support system. Unfortunately, in golf, it's such an affluent sport. for you to actually make headway, you need financial support. So if there's that, and then you get the right people actually behind you, facilitating the way and also pointing you in the right direction, I think there's no reason why you can't succeed.
In the two of the top earning golfers in the history of the game, Tiger Woods and Vijay Singh, they're both players of color. That should give everyone motivation on this continent, surely.
Absolutely, I think, but there are many facets to success. I think it's not just hitting a golf ball. I think there's the aspect of discipline and hard work and also having goals. I think it's imperative that you have goals for your life and also for your profession. I mean, those two work really hard. I mean, I got a chance to see Vijay Singh work really hard, actually. He was there from morning to evening practicing, so it's not a facade that he actually works hard. It's actually very true. And I hear the same with Tiger Woods. I mean, he does the same thing. I'm friends with Nora Bigay, the third, who's his best friend, and he's told me countless stories about how hard Tiger Woods works. So
now that Africa is changing economic landscape and wealth is being more evenly distributed, do you think that's going to cause a rise in black golfers coming out of the continent?
I think there are already a lot of black golfers actually coming up. But again, it's a question of what one is exposed to and what they want to achieve. Some people see Sunshine Tour as the epitome, and then some will see European Tour. I mean, you had James Kamte come from South Africa who made it to the European Tour, and he obviously came through the Ernieos Foundation, which I think is an amazing platform that was created by Ernieos himself and several other people. I mean, look at all the host of players that have come from that. I think if you can have people going in that direction, you'll see a lot of them coming up.
What would you like to see the sport develop into over the next couple of years on the continent?
Access to golf clubs, access to golf courses, playing time, and also access to education. I think education and playing the game of golf go hand in hand. I mean, golf is such an intricate sport. I mean, you look at the scientific side of it in terms of physics and mathematics, adding a yardage book and calculating your distances, and then dealing with the externalities of the weather, the climate, and being able to navigate yourself through that to play the game of golf. So those two have to go hand in hand, and if those things can be created, I think golf will make great headway. It already is.
Do you think we'll see a black African golfer rise to the top in world golf in the near future?
Absolutely, I don't see why not.
Will it be you?
Hopefully it is. Yeah, I'm working towards that.
Good stuff. We wish you best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure actually being on your Quest of Sports, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.